What is the legacy of Turner?
The legacy of Turner is that he completely changed what was considered an acceptable style of painting. You see here the expressive brushstrokes and the fact that the painting is left in this sort of hazy, energized state that in his own lifetime would never have been sort of considered as an accepted point to stop a painting and present publicly, but that Turner was clearly very happy to leave his pictures at. There's a number of paintings that are worked to this point in Turner's studio, and they sort of sit at this line between finished and unfinished. And the legacy of these can be seen right up to the present day. There's an undeniable link to Impressionism, the fact that he was painting in the landscape directly before the Impressionists were, and this sort of expressive.
And Monet came to London.
Yes, and although Monet never sort of directly links himself to Turner, and there's some critics of Monet that would deny that connection, I think the fact that Turner was so famous and so well regarded in his lifetime, and he would have certainly been known to Monet and the other Impressionists, so whether that inspiration was direct or not, they certainly would have been learning and knowing of Turner in terms of him being so influential on the Western canon. So.
And there's a Peter Doig here, which obviously seem influenced by Turner.
Exactly.
Do you think there's an influence?
Yes, and Peter Doig does talk about that influence, and also more intentionally with Monet. The catalogue relating to the exhibition does go into that in a bit more detail, but there's that thing in the Peter Doig ski jacket painting about memory and nostalgia and recollection, which is something that I think Monet and Turner both did through their snowscapes. Everyone's been in the snow. Well, most people in Europe have been in the snow and have experienced that sensation, and I think you can only really understand the colours of that and still accept it as a snowscape because we have that experience of the unique light of snow and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that nostalgia element is very important to Peter Doig, and is something that he's found inspiration from Turner and Monet.
And what is the room for the experience for Turner? Because in the meantime, he uses imagination, so sometimes we don't know where is the truth, and from a starting point, he need a real landscape, right?
Exactly, and I think in Turner's time it would have been unheard of to paint something that was a completely imagined landscape. It was just, before Turner, landscape painting wasn't even an accepted sort of form of painting. It was Turner who did that. He established landscape painting
with no figure in it.
Yeah, exactly, without any figures. He established landscape painting as like a legitimate form of art. But also it's hard to ever paint a landscape entirely from imagination, because you can't make up a mountain or a field or a sky. They exist. And whilst he was painting from his experiences, he often he was doing it from his memories and from his imagination. So even if a painting maybe has the name of a place, he's recreating that place using his imagination.
And to come back to the dialogue you established between contemporary and Turner, for some artists there's no direct link, right?
It's an interesting one. There's definitely not always a direct link, and that's intentional.
So how did you choose them?
It's about a shared theme of all of the artists included in the exhibition engage with humankind's relationship with nature, and they do so in extremely different ways.
So it's a very large selection.
It's a very large selection, but also they're doing so in a very original way, and often pioneers of their own form of doing so. And it's
for example, Laure Prouveau is
yes.
very far from the spirit of Turner, no?
She is very far from the spirit of Turner, but I think looking at her work alongside Turner's work makes you think about what Turner was doing in a different way. Her journey is very much about synthesizing imagination and reality, and you're not sure which parts are real and which parts aren't, which is exactly what Turner's doing.
But no humor in Turner, for example.
I think Turner did have a lot of humor.
The title of the
For example, the title of The Whalers, but you often find little sort of things hidden in his pictures and little jokes, and I think whilst he painted these grand, challenging scenes, they often did have humour that he added to them.
Like what?
So this thing of like hiding dolphins, or there's another painting which isn't in this show but has a sea monster hidden in it. He's often sort of adds bits of character into his paintings. But going back to your question again about the selection of the artists, I think it was a very, obviously nature and dealing with nature is a huge theme, but it's that the insignificance of man against the vastness of nature is often a common sensation with the contemporary artists and Turner. I think that's a big part of this show. It's the human experience of being in the natural environment. That's the big focus of the exhibition.
Merci beaucoup.